the White House acknowledging a specialist in Parkinson's disease evaluated the president at least 3 times over the past year.
The White House says the multiple exams were part of the president's routine annual physical.
I can tell you this, just going back to Parkinson's for a little bit, so to give you some answers here, has the president been treated for Parkinson's? No. Is he being treated for Parkinson's? No, he's not. Is he taking medication for Parkinson's? No.
The specialist from the Walter Reed Military Hospital came to the White House at least 8 times between last July and this March. He met once with the president's physician, while other visits were related to treating other people who work at the White House.
But clearly the implication of that article, I think it was the Post and the Times both did reporting on this, New York Post, New York Times, that, you know, it immediately raised a flag. Does the president have Parkinson's? And that was kind of in the White House.
Because 8 times in 8 months is frequent.
But the article never linked it directly to Biden, just that he visited the White House, which they learned through visitor logs. Anyway, just another hiccup in all this. Congressional Democrats, of course, will meet behind closed doors today, the full House Democratic Caucus. And, of course, the number 1 on the agenda, whether or not Biden should drop out of the presidential race, even though it's his decision, not theirs. But whether this crisis encircling the campaign could drag down the party this November remains a major question.
The discussions are so sensitive that House members' cell phones will be collected at the door to prevent leaks. Several Democrats have publicly or privately urged President Biden to step aside, and the subject is dominating conversations across Capitol Hill.
Do you think he should step aside?
Well, you know, I don't have anything further to help illuminate the situation at this point.
The senators who are up for election, they're going to have a lot of input. We're anxious to hear from them.
But if he does not meet that test, is it time to move on, replace him with somebody else?
I believe that we have to have a family conversation if that test is not met.
Joining us now is Democratic strategist Antoine Seawright. He's also the founder and CEO of Blueprint Strategy, a political consulting firm based in South Carolina. Good morning to you, Antoine. Always good to see you. So with this latest story coming out about this doctor specializing in Parkinson's disease, speaking of strategy, how do they navigate this? Yet another story, even though there was no direct link to actually seeing President Biden himself.
Well, I think you do what the press secretary did yesterday, and you tell the truth. It was, quite frankly, a high amount of disrespect towards the first African-American and a female press secretary yesterday. We saw from those in the free press. I've seen a lot of press engagements before, but never the intensity I've seen like yesterday. Quite frankly, when you compare that to 4 years of lying from the podium that we've seen from the previous press secretaries under the Trump administration, I think it was not only disrespectful, it was a sad case of why so many people lose confidence in the press and their abilities to just do their simple job. So I think she presented the information as it was given, and you compare that to the people who former President Trump had in and out of the White House. I have not seen the press so intense. We've seen white nationalists, white supremacists, and those who pledge their allegiance to things that most of us are not proud of in and out of that White House for 4 years, and no one even raised an issue or concern about it in the free press. And so I think Karine did a great job of giving the facts as she knows them, and now it's time for us to accept that as information and move on.
All right, slight pushback on that. I think you'd be hard-pressed for that D.C. press corps. It had some very combative moments with Sarah Huckabee Sanders, with Sean Spicer, with Scaramucci. So I don't think a heated press room exchange yesterday broke any new ground from what we've seen in years past. Nonetheless, the average person in their living room doesn't really care what happens in the White House press room, so we can move on from that whole thing. What I'm curious about today is kind of what I think the main headline is today, absent the whole Parkinson's White House visitor logs issue, and there's still some questions about that. But what to me was really interesting to watch politically last night was the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional Hispanic Caucus coming out strongly and standing by Joe Biden. So for days now, the story's been, this one wants him out, this one wants him out, and should he go, and it'll be Harris, and how do they... Okay, and then some critical constituencies, people of color, particularly the Black Caucus, came out and said, Joe's still our guy. Is that enough to stop the bleeding, and why do you think they're standing by him?
Well, I don't think think anything's going to stop the Washington Beltway conversation, but there's a different conversation on K Street. And on our street is where people decide elections. When black voters lead, succeeds. Joe Biden is unapologetic by saying publicly and proudly the reason he was the Democratic nominee in the 2020 contested primary, the reason he was president of the United States is because black voters showed up in handsome form to make certain that we help save democracy, but also launch him to the.
All right. Sorry, I have some technical difficulties there. It works out well because he's leaving that hotel room to catch a flight.
Yeah.
So that maybe Delta arranged that,
Right.
that hiccup. We thank him. I really wanted to hear his answer there, but we thank him for his time, what he was able to say.